Hey, I'm back. So I want to finish. I want to go out on a limb and say that the biggest threat to the world are unchecked women. And what I mean by that is women who can't be held accountable. They won't be held accountable by themselves, their friends, their parents, their family. No one will hold these women accountable. Instead, they just boost their heads up and make them believe that what they're doing is somehow right or righteous, you know? And that's just simply not the case. The family court system today completely alienates the fathers. I mean, there's no doubt about it. My generation, I'm 37 years old, so we're dealing with my generation, right? Let's talk about my generation. There's no way you can convince me that people my age who were raised in a single parent home did not want to have kids, did not want to have their own families, right? I just can't fathom the fact that what women are telling me, that men don't want to be dads. It just don't make sense. Because I talk to men all the time, and that's like the ultimate upper echelon of being a man, is having your family whole. That's it. If you got your family whole, everything else is cake. We don't care about money, cars, clothes, none of that stuff. We care about none of that stuff. And the only thing we care about is our families. Now, a lot of our pickers are broken. Like, we pick horrible women to have babies with. And the reason I say that is because, look what situation you end up in. If there's an opportunity for that woman to take advantage of you, she most definitely will. In disregard to what the kid, what's in the best interest of the child, in disregard to anything, really. Here's a perfect example. My kid, my son, let me just lay it out. Let me lay my story out. My son was born in 2012. By that time, me and my kid's mom, we were together for maybe 3 years at that point, and already lost one kid, the funeral and everything, right? So, I wanted to try again and have another baby, because at this point, when I'm if I made a conscious decision to have a baby, it didn't come, it died at birth, then, I kind of feel horrible. I want another one. And I'm not about to have multiple kids with multiple women. That's just not in my DNA. I've seen it. I grew up watching that. It disgusts me, right? I can't do it. I can't allow myself to do it. But so we had a rocky relationship, needless to say, off and on. But a pattern quickly arose. She wanted to be in complete control. That's control of my life. Like, whether I had the kid with me or not, she wanted to dictate to me how I should spend my money, right? And, I was always willing to, support my kid. A lot of times I didn't have the money. It was just that simple. I just didn't have the money. It wasn't an unwillingness to do it. It was an unableness to do it because I didn't have the money. But I come from a black family. So if I don't have the money, I'm still thinking, okay, I could pick them up, and maybe I could take them to my mom's house just so we could spend some time together. Maybe my mom might have some stuff for them. That was not an option. So So what happens is, you have to deal with this woman disrespecting you all the time, all the gaslighting you, disrespecting you, telling you you're not a good father when you were together. Oh, you're a great father. But simply because you chose to break up with her, now you're not a good father, right? And that's what I'm dealing with. I've been dealing with it for a long time. And I would not talk to a lot of people about it because, hey, who gives a fuck, right? Who gives a fuck about what I'm going through? I'm a man up. So that's been my code. I don't really tell my problems, but we're gonna keep it going. So I around the time my son was 3, I gave it one last college try to work things out with my kid's mom and just try to grunt this thing out. We decided to move to Charlotte together. And I explicitly remember me saying, hey, look, man, this is it. Like, we can't continue this crazy argument. We're either gonna do it my way. We've been doing it your way. So we're either gonna do it my way and watch how smoothly this thing goes, but I'm not gonna stand for the disrespect and the just craziness, the crazy confusion, and I just can't do it anymore. Like, I'm at my wit's end. For my son, I'm willing to try one last time. And shit you not, the agreement, she reneged on the agreement. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out, okay? So one of the things that I left out is that my kid's mom, after we lost the first baby, something changed in her. She became a exotic dancer without my knowledge, right? She told me she had a regular job. I wasn't even checking behind her at that point because it was still kind of fresh. We were still kind of still in love, or at least I was. And I wasn't really checking behind her to go see if she was actually working at this job. So, we broke up and we got back together again. And when we got back together, she didn't tell me that she was doing this. She just, kept telling me she was working at this day job or something like that. And after about 3 months of us, mending everything together and getting, falling back in love with each other, I never forget it. I remember it like it was yesterday. She brought a friend home with her one night. This wasn't unusual, but she brought a friend home with her one night. And, it's a young lady. I hate this young lady. She's a whore in my eyes. But she brought her home with her one night, and she drops the heaviest news on me that I've ever had. She says, I've been stripping. Now, the friend is there, and I can just feel my fucking heart breaking. Because here I am, I'm doing everything I can to be a good man, and here all along, she's rubbing a pussy on niggas' dicks to get money. I was completely shocked. Like, this was not the girl that I knew. When I met my kid's mom, she was a virgin, so she says. I'm starting to question that now. But she told me she was a virgin. I believed her. All the signs matched up, so I took it and didn't even think nothing of it. I thought, okay, So fast forward back to that night. She tells me that she's an exotic dancer. And I'm like, well, listen, I don't agree with that. You got to quit this shit now. You got to quit, or I'm going to leave you. Right? And she manipulated me, saying that I'm insecure, I'm a narcissist because I won't support her in her career. And it just fucked with my head. That was my defining moment that changed everything for me. It fucked with my head so bad because I wasn't raised to have a woman out here stripping on a pole. That just is not my style. Before her, I might have went to the strip club, but even then it felt weird, It It felt weird. So I wasn't a frequent strip club guy in the first place. I'm not a street nigga. I'm not one of those guys that's all about the streets. That's not me either. So here she was, thrust into the streets basically. And here I am, not partaking in the streets. The most I was doing was smoking weed, right? That was the most street I got. So, you know, I was weak. I didn't have a father to tell me, hey, leave this girl alone. That's a sign from God to leave her alone. I didn't have nobody in my corner telling me, hey, maybe you should just leave this girl alone, right? I had one person. But, you know, when you're young and in love, you're not listening to nobody. You're just hoping that it'll work out, right? So, her manipulation worked. I thought I wasn't supporting her correctly, so I went ahead and let her continue doing it. She would say, I'll bring the money home to you, and, you know, trying to boost my ego or whatever. And after a while, you know, I kind of just didn't care. I just let it slide. And, you know, it would always keep coming back up. You know, I completely looked at her different. I didn't see her as my love no more. I just saw her as my kid's mom. Like, damn, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this relationship with this woman who is telling me that I'm not a man, I'm not this, I'm not that. When she chose to have 2 babies with me, I'm just so confused, right? And here we are. So eventually, we broke up again, got back together, broke up again, got back together. So then we get to Charlotte. Now, by this time, she had made her some money stripping. She had saved $20,000. How do I know? Because she asked me to help her count it one day. And she said we were going to use this to start a new life in Charlotte. So my plan was, okay, we can live off of this while I go to school for network engineering. And that was the plan. Like, if she didn't agree to that plan, then I was not going to get back with her, right? So she agreed. We went to Charlotte, and sure enough, within a week, she reneged from the plan. Instead of using that $20,000 when we needed it, I was the one spending all of my money, being broke afterwards. I paid the rent, the bills, everything I could pay with my money. I wasn't getting a lot still. I'm in school. So whatever I was getting, I paid. And it would leave, after the first, I would have $5 in my bank account. So it would leave me in a situation where I'm not working. My girl's got $20,000 in cash. I could ask her for some money. This is my thinking. So I asked her. She wouldn't like giving up no money. Like, I would have to beg her for money. And it just blew me away that I would have to beg her for money. I thought we were in this thing together. That was one of the things that just kind of really fucked with me. And as I'm begging her for money, deliveries are coming to the front door, right? Deliveries. She's buying all of this bullshit. Michael Kors. She is chasing this Kim Kardashian dream, right? She wants to be like Kim K. So she's buying all of this, you know, materialistic shit. I'm not a materialistic guy. I'm not. I understand that women might be materialistic by nature. I get that. But it was getting crazy, right? I had to sit there and be broke, $5 in my bank account, and watch her spend this money on frivolous things. Meanwhile, my son, you know, I would come home from school at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and my son hadn't eaten breakfast or has had the same diaper on. He's in a dirty diaper. You know what I mean? It was just, she would be up in a room on the phone. My son was 2 or 3 at that time. and he was downstairs playing Lego games on the video game on the PlayStation that I had. Like, if that's what you see when you walk in the door, you know, you're not being greeted with a hug and a kiss and a smile and all that shit. If you see that when you walk in the door, it's gonna fuck with you. And it did fuck with me. So, of course, we had another big fight. This time, I ended up calling the police because, you know, it was we lived in a duplex. So when you live in a duplex, you got people on the side of you, and, you know, she would yell to the top, to the top of her lungs, and that would incite me to do the same thing. So we were both out of control. We were about 24, 25, 26. I think the oldest I was when I was with her was 27. So, you know, I was still trying to figure out how to control my emotions. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm sure she was too, but as I was actively trying to figure this out, I still got to deal with this. So I ended up calling the cops because one of our arguments was just getting out of hand. We had a balcony in our little townhouse where you can stand on the balcony and see the entire downstairs. And she was starting to throw things over the balcony. One thing landed 2 feet away from my son. So I'm like, yo, you got to chill out with this. She's going crazy, screaming, yelling, throwing stuff upstairs while I'm downstairs. So I'm like, look, if you don't stop, I'm gonna call the police. She didn't stop, I called the police. I grab my son, I go sit in my truck, and I wait for the cops to get there. The cops get there, and they say, well, we can't determine who the primary aggressor is, so we're gonna take the kid into protective custody unless somebody's going to jail tonight. So unless one of you guys want to go to jail voluntarily, both of you guys are going to go, and we're going to take the kid. So she was up in there crying and lying, lying and crying. So the police really didn't know who to believe. And I'm like, well, listen, I'm the one that called you. Shouldn't you believe the person who called you? And they had their mind set. So I took the bullet because I could tell that she was not going to give up or back down off of this, and that she was going to continue this same behavior of, lying, basically. So I ended up going to jail for a whole weekend. It was Valentine's Day weekend. So when I get out, guess what? She doesn't come to pick me up. I have to walk. I'm in Charlotte now. I'm not from there. So now I have to walk from the Charlotte Police Department all the way to the north side. All the way up to the north side. I'm walking all day. I got no money in my pocket because I just spent it all on rent. And then when I finally get home, guess what? The house is still looking the same exact way as it did when I called the police 3 days ago. So, at that time we had some counselors. The counselors advised her that she should go down to the courthouse and get this thing dismissed. And that's what she did. She went to the courthouse and got it dismissed. And after that, I was just so broken. I was like, I don't want to be with this girl no more, man. She's not going to be honest when it counts. She's going to force me into situations where I got to call the police on her. You know what I mean? So that's when I broke up with her for the last time. We'll continue this in a moment.